been so happy on a job before in my life. Dream come true. Sam Gold's one of my favorite directors. Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Sam.
He didn't direct it. He had absolutely nothing to do with the creative process behind Snow White, and honestly, he should probably just stay quiet and do the job he was hired to do. At this point, it feels like no one on the right side of America can even stand the lead actress of this movie. The reaction has been nothing short of bizarre. People are frustrated, confused, and frankly exhausted by the constant lecturing coming from Hollywood's supposed new generation of stars. Across social media, you can find endless clips, commentaries, and rants from people calling for a full-blown boycott of the film. Many parents are now openly saying that no matter how much their kids adore the original Snow White, they're refusing to support this remake. And it's not hard to see why. Disney's decision-making seems to have taken a turn for the surreal. They didn't just remake the movie, they completely reimagined it, removing the 7 iconic dwarfs that defined the story for nearly a century. So, what did they replace them with? Magical creatures. That's the new term. But in doing so, they've created an even bigger problem. Instead of celebrating diversity, this move actually erases an entire community of actors with dwarfism who have spent years fighting for fair representation in Hollywood. It's one of those strange moments where progressiveness folds in on itself. Actor Peter Dinklage, himself one of the most respected performers with dwarfism, made a powerful argument long before this controversy exploded. He said the real issue isn't the existence of the story, it's how it's told. If the original tale feels outdated or offensive, change the message, not the characters. He reminded people that there's real strength and visibility that comes from giving those 7 characters space on screen in a major Disney production. Representation still matters, even in a fairy tale. But instead, Disney chose to rewrite history and pretend that the problem was the presence of dwarfs, rather than the lack of creative sensitivity in how they were portrayed. Then came the backlash. Memes spread like wildfire. Clips from parody videos surfaced, twisted versions of the famous poison apple scene, rewritten to mock the new direction. "This is no ordinary apple, my dear," one parody version joked. "It's a magic wishing apple, offered freely in exchange for the patriarchy." It was a biting exaggeration of how critics viewed the movie's attempt to turn a simple fairy tale into a heavy-handed lecture on feminism, diversity, and leadership. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler, the face of the film, didn't help her own case. In interviews, she spoke about deserving payment every time the movie streamed online, insisting that standing in a gown for 18 hours was worth more recognition than she'd been given. It came across as tone-deaf. Audiences wondered, is she really struggling to pay bills after starring in a Spielberg film and now a Disney blockbuster? The reaction was swift and brutal. Commentators called her entitled, disconnected, and oblivious to how she sounded to ordinary people. Even critics who once supported her began to pull back. Online, videos labeled her the worst casting decision in modern film history. Some went even further, saying she seemed mentally unstable or deeply unhappy. Not because of her beliefs, but because of how she expressed them, constantly tying every criticism back to the patriarchy or feminism instead of simply acknowledging the role or the fans. The general public's patience wore thin. And then the final blow came from The Simpsons. Reports began circulating that an upcoming episode would brutally parody the Snow White fiasco, with a thinly veiled caricature named Rachel Zed, portrayed as a self-absorbed actress who turns a beloved childhood story into a self-righteous, preachy mess. Sources inside the studio claim Rachel has been frantically trying to pressure Fox to either cancel or heavily edit the episode, terrified that the mockery will permanently attach itself to her image. Behind closed doors, those close to Rachel describe her as furious. Not just embarrassed, but genuinely scared that this could mark the end of her Hollywood trajectory. They say she believes that once The Simpsons episode airs, no one will take her seriously again, that she'll become a permanent punchline rather than the next Disney darling. And right on cue, she vanished. Interviews canceled. Public appearances postponed. Her once active social media account suddenly silent. Just days after The Simpsons leak, she reportedly boarded a flight to Colombia, officially for a personal trip. When a reporter asked about it, she gave a curt reply, "Get off the block here." But few believe it's just a coincidence. Rumors now swirl that Rachel's disappearance is a desperate attempt to escape the fallout. Some think she's running from the relentless media storm, others whisper about possible legal tensions with Disney, while a few insist it's simply a carefully calculated PR retreat. Whatever the case, her silence speaks volumes. and it's not doing her reputation any favors. Back at Disney headquarters in Burbank, insiders describe the mood as tense, even chaotic. Executives are reportedly split between those who want to quietly distance the company from her and those who still hope for a redemption arc. After all, Hollywood loves a comeback story. But this one might take more than a little magic to pull off. Executives at Disney are reportedly furious, not just disappointed, at how spectacularly the Snow White project has detonated in their faces. What was meant to be a billion-dollar nostalgic revival of one of the studio's crown jewels has instead become a full-blown public relations catastrophe. Insiders describe emergency meetings, sleepless nights, and tense boardroom conversations as the fallout continues to spread. What once promised to reintroduce a timeless fairy tale to a new generation has instead reminded audiences of just how tone-deaf a modern studio can appear when it loses touch with its fans. Behind the scenes, there's growing frustration that Rachel Zegler's interviews didn't just fail to help, they actively made things worse. Instead of charming audiences or amplifying Disney's classic themes of magic and innocence, her public comments poured gasoline on a fire that was already raging online. During one press junket, she spoke about how the movie teaches the true meaning of fairness, emphasizing that real beauty is within, a message that, on paper, sounds noble and aligned with modern values. Audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, Rachel explained in one clip. Fairness is what's within, like it has to do with your heart and how you treat others. That's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the Evil Queen. But while her words seemed heartfelt, the delivery and timing couldn't have been worse. For millions already skeptical of Disney's recent creative direction, it came off as another overly polished attempt to moralize an audience rather than entertain them. Many felt the sincerity was lost somewhere between PR talking points and self-importance. Inside the company, the damage control mode went from quiet concern to corporate panic. Sources now claim Disney is weighing serious financial penalties against Zegler herself, including enforcing strict morality clauses in her contract that could slash bonuses, or even demand restitution for a portion of the studio's reported $350 million loss tied to the film's collapse. Those familiar with the matter describe the film's performance as catastrophic, a rare word in Disney's vocabulary. The production budget alone was said to exceed $300 million, and yet it now sits at a dismal 2 out of 10 rating on IMDb, a number almost unheard of for a Disney tentpole release. Critics say the film suffers from an identity crisis, unsure whether it wants to be a reimagined feminist fable or a glossy nostalgia trip. What was supposed to unite audiences under a modern message of empowerment instead divided them along cultural fault lines. This is just so typical of the modern progressive left, one commentator said bluntly. They try so hard to look forward that they end up tripping over their own ideals. For a company known for handling even the worst controversies with a soft mouse glove touch, the internal rage this time is unusually public and unusually vicious. Anonymous executives have leaked frustrations to journalists, blaming tone-deaf creative decisions, unchecked egos, and a total disconnect from the audience's values. One even described the fiasco as a masterclass in how to destroy goodwill overnight. It's a stunning reversal of fortune. When Rachel Zegler was first announced as Disney's new Snow White, there was genuine excitement across Hollywood. Coming off her acclaimed debut in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, she seemed like a fresh, marketable talent, the kind of young star Disney dreams about building entire franchises around. The potential was enormous. Early teasers sparked curiosity. Merchandise development was well underway. The future looked golden. But the magic started fading almost instantly once the press tour began. Instead of embracing the timeless legacy of Snow White, Zegler's soundbites became increasingly critical of the original story. Comments that many fans viewed as dismissive, even arrogant. In one now infamous interview, she smirked as she described the 1937 prince as a guy who literally stalks her, before adding a sarcastic, "Yeah, weird. She concluded, "So, we didn't do that this time." The clip went viral overnight. It didn't land as witty or progressive. It landed as disrespectful. Fans felt she was mocking the movie that built the foundation of Disney animation itself. Instead of inspiring anticipation for a bold reimagining, her comments triggered disbelief. Within hours, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok filled with memes, edits, and calls for a boycott. "Who's surprised?" One viral post read. "You cast the most unlikable actress in Hollywood to play one of its most beloved characters." And then came the awkward dynamic with her co-star, Gal Gadot. What could have been a powerful pairing, two confident, talented women representing the modern face of Disney, instead turned icy. Their joint appearances radiated visible tension. At the Oscars, when the two took the stage to present an award, the energy was painfully stiff. "Please welcome Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot," the announcer said. Visual effects pushed the boundaries of what we see on screen. Gadot read from the teleprompter, her voice calm but detached. Their work makes the impossible seem possible. There were no jokes, no shared smiles, no sense of partnership, just cold professionalism. The moment was so awkward that social media instantly dubbed it the frozen red carpet. One viewer tweeted, "They look like two coworkers forced to share a shift at a job they both hate." Industry insiders later revealed that Gal Gadot, ever the polished professional, had quietly decided to keep her distance from the growing storm. She fulfilled her press obligations, smiled when the cameras rolled, but refused to engage in off-script banter or social interactions that might tie her too closely to the controversy. "She wasn't going to let Rachel's drama drag her down," said one source close to the production. What should have been a Disney dream has devolved into one of its worst modern nightmares. A tangle of poor communication, misplaced messaging, and personality clashes that turned a magical revival into a cultural cautionary tale. Fans noticed. Journalists noticed. And before long, everyone noticed. The supposed fairy tale of Disney's two queens, Snow White and the Evil Queen, had turned into a very real feud that mirrored the chaos off screen. What should have been a promotional dream pairing devolved into a public spectacle, as clips of Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's awkward press appearances spread like wildfire. The tension between the two wasn't just gossip fodder anymore. It became symbolic of the movie's entire identity crisis. As one analyst put it, "It's like watching Disney argue with itself in real time." Then came the numbers. Cold, unforgiving, impossible to spin. Alex, what has been the reaction to Disney's latest expensive own goal? "Well," replied a pop culture reporter during a viral newscast, "the reaction has been absolutely horrible. This is the worst box office performance for a live-action remake in Disney history." They're projected to lose somewhere between $200 and $400 million. What was meant to be a celebration of nostalgia became a case study in how to alienate your core audience. Instead of a magical revival, Disney found itself the punchline of late-night monologues and meme compilations. Rachel's disappearance, her sudden personal trip to Colombia, only made things worse. As she stayed silent, her team scrambled behind the scenes, unsure whether to launch an apology tour, a rebrand, or total retreat. Disney executives, meanwhile, were desperately searching for ways to limit the financial damage, slashing marketing, canceling interviews, and quietly renegotiating contracts for future projects. And in the background, an even darker cloud was forming. The Simpsons were about to pounce. The internet was already calling Rachel Zegler the actress who disappeared. Hashtags like "I'm Where is Rachel" and "I'm Snowwoke" began trending. Every day of silence fueled another rumor. Some said she was hiding out from paparazzi. Others claimed Disney had asked her to stay out of sight until the outrage cooled. Whatever the truth, her absence only amplified the narrative that she was running from the mess she helped create. Inside the Mouse House, executives were livid. According to insiders, Disney's senior leadership, the same team that once touted Zegler as the next great Disney princess, had now banned her from all official studio platforms. "It's damage control mode," one PR insider confessed. "They're freezing her out until they can figure out how to stop the bleeding." But the world outside wasn't waiting. While Rachel retreated into silence, Hollywood kept spinning, and not in her favor. As Snow White limped out of theaters, another film exploded at the box office, Minecraft, the movie. In a twist that no studio analyst could have scripted better, the pixelated video game adaptation obliterated Disney's fairy tale reboot. On its opening weekend alone, Minecraft hauled in $300 million globally, with sold-out shows and cheering crowds that looked like a festival. "Here's the box office breakdown," one commentator reported dryly. Minecraft made $60 million on Saturday. Snow White made $2. The contrast was brutal, almost comedic. Videos circulated across TikTok and Twitter showing packed Minecraft screenings overflowing with laughing families, followed by empty Snow White theaters where you could practically hear the air conditioning hum. One viral clip showed a man walking into a deserted cinema, whispering, I hope it's off till we go." Then he counts out loud. 1, 2, okay, 2 people. That's it. Okay, 2 people. That's it. The comparison videos became a global roast. Comment sections filled with gleeful mockery. Kids would rather watch cubes than lectures. The memes were relentless. The TikToks merciless. Every empty seat in a Snow White theater became another frame in Disney's humiliation montage. But the real cultural death blow hadn't even arrived yet. Enter The Simpsons, television's longest-running, sharpest satirical scalpel, always ready to dissect pop culture disasters. In their upcoming episode, Springfield's writers decided not to just reference Snow White's failure, but to immortalize it. The episode's fictional film within a show, titled Snowwoke the Reimagining, doesn't tiptoe around the controversy, it charges at it head-on. In the parody, a self-righteous princess bans princes, replaces dwarfs with magical creatures of diverse body positivity, and spends the entire runtime lecturing confused cartoon villagers about systemic oppression and privilege. The satire is razor-sharp, the humor merciless. There's no subtle wink or playful nudge, it's a full-on roast. Audiences who previewed the episode say it's one of The Simpsons' most biting takes in years, directly targeting everything fans accused Rachel Zegler and Disney of mishandling: arrogance, preachiness, and a complete loss of self-awareness. For Rachel, this wasn't just another parody. It was a career obituary written in bright yellow ink, broadcast to millions, turning her into a cautionary cartoon. The Hollywood star who flew too close to the discourse and melted under the spotlight. And Hollywood noticed, loudly. Studios that once lined up to work with Rachel, the same ones that buzzed after West Side Story, have now reportedly gone silent. The same executives who once called her the next big thing suddenly stopped returning calls. Talent agents whispered that meetings were postponed indefinitely. Projects that once had her name attached quietly resurfaced with new lead actresses, as if her presence had been erased from the conversation altogether. It's fair to say that the industry had reached its breaking point. No one wanted to be the next studio to gamble on the star of this now infamous movie. Disney, in their grand attempt to reinvent a fairy tale for modern audiences, had hired, as one viral commentator put it, the most insufferable girl boss narcissist on earth to play a princess who was supposed to embody innocence and grace. It was a casting choice that would haunt the company's reputation for years to come. Publicly, no one said a word. But behind the scenes, the message couldn't have been clearer. Rachel Zegler had become a brand risk, not simply because Snow White flopped, but because her entire persona, once a symbol of Hollywood's fresh-faced promise, had transformed into a magnet for backlash, mockery, and digital controversy. Studios knew that signing her wasn't just hiring an actress, it was inviting a storm. In a world where image is everything, Rachel's had become radioactive. The humiliation didn't stop at box office charts or snarky late-night jokes. It spiraled into something darker, more surreal. The story took a bizarre, almost tragic turn when an AI-generated fake OnlyFans account using Rachel's likeness exploded in popularity online. Within hours, thousands of followers swarmed the fake profile, mistaking it for the real thing. And while Rachel herself had no connection to it, the fact that so many believed it so easily said everything about how far her public image had fallen. The wholesome, dreamy Disney princess fantasy was gone, buried under sarcasm and scandal. In its place stood a chaotic, meme-ready caricature of Rachel, exaggerated, mocked, and endlessly recycled by internet culture. The internet wasn't laughing with her anymore. It was laughing at her, and the cruelty was relentless. Clips of her old interviews resurfaced daily, re-edited and recaptioned for maximum mockery. Quotes once meant to sound empowering now read as self-absorbed. Fan accounts that used to celebrate her red carpet looks now churned out memes about her downfall. Rachel had become the main character of a story she never wanted to star in. One written by the algorithm, not a screenwriter. And then came The Simpsons. When the legendary show aired its parody episode titled Snowwoke the Reimagining, it wasn't just another cultural jab, it was a full-blown eulogy for Rachel's pop culture relevance. Springfield's residents mocked, laughed, and cringed their way through a painfully tone-deaf retelling of the fairy tale. Their animated Snow White, clearly modeled after Rachel's controversial portrayal, lectured villagers about equality, banned princes, and sang empowerment anthems that went on for far too long. These new musical numbers are incredibly unnecessary, one in-universe critic groaned, echoing what half of real-world Twitter had already said. And let me tell you, they're absolutely atrocious. The parody was scathing, not subtle, not playful, but surgical. It tore into every element that audiences had criticized: the forced politics, the loss of magic, the arrogance masquerading as empowerment. By the time Springfield's townspeople booed, yawned, and walked out of the theater muttering that the magic was dead, the message was undeniable. This wasn't just a roast. It was a requiem. In modern entertainment, being mocked by The Simpsons isn't a sign that you're controversial. It's a sign that you've become a spectacle. It means you've crossed the threshold from celebrity to caricature, from headline to punchline. And for Rachel Zegler, whose Hollywood rise once looked like something straight out of a fairy tale, there could be no more symbolic or devastating end. Still, as history shows, Hollywood loves a comeback. The same town that tears down its icons also knows how to resurrect them. But only if they play the game perfectly. For Rachel, redemption isn't impossible, but it will require something extraordinary: humility, silence, and maybe even reinvention. Her next move won't just need to be good, it'll need to be flawless. Because in a city built on image, hers has been shattered, reassembled, and memeified beyond recognition. The public isn't waiting for her next film. They're waiting to see if she can survive the cultural storm she helped create. And now, thanks to The Simpsons' brutal honesty, that storm isn't just trending, it's immortalized. It's immortalized.